Critical levels are a very important benchmark to help guide fertilizer decisions. But the established critical levels that we continue to use in a lot of states may not be appropriate for today's hybrids and varieties and production practices that you follow. Many of the critical levels that we continue to follow may not quite be up to speed for today's hybrids and varieties.
It's pretty clear that the main driver in reductions in K reserves is, of course, the higher yields.
When you consider when the majority of our critical levels were established, going back 10 to 20 years, the corn hybrids we were planting at that period were not able to yield at the levels that today's corn hybrids can yield.
We need to really rethink what we've defined as critical levels for K and ask ourselves the question as to whether what we think is a critical level actually is a critical level for these new hybrids.
Another thing about these hybrids and varieties that we're planting today is the scale of those peak periods of demand from that soil to supply potassium is larger than what it has been traditionally.
There was an interesting study recently completed by the University of Illinois on 6 of those hybrids at 2 different locations. If you looked at that grand period of vegetative growth, they were measuring K uptake rates of over 5 pounds of K2O per acre per day. So that would mean that over a 10-day period, you would be absorbing more than 50 pounds of K2O per acre. That's an amazing rate of absorption.
So that old established critical level may not meet that crop's required needs during that peak period. If you're removing stover or straw, your fertilization rates have to keep pace because we're removing a considerable amount of potassium with that stover, with that straw.
If you look at removal, that has caused in many parts of the Corn Belt a reduction in soil K reserves.
As we do move toward more biofuel, and we talk about potentially harvesting corn stover for ethanol production, your fertilization rates are going to have to increase to keep pace.
It leads us directly to the question of, do we really know what optimum soil K levels are for that kind of a corn system? And I'm not sure that we do.
Critical levels are absolutely important to your farming operation. We simply want you to consider, with the evolution of today's hybrids and varieties and your changing operation, do you need to reassess what your potassium needs of your cropping system truly are?